The mission of Australian Red Cross Lifeblood is to bridge the gap between the 3% of Australians donating blood and the 33% who will need blood and or blood productions in their lifetime. It is estimated that 57% of Australians are eligible but have not donated. Our guest today, Mitch Bryce, Relationship Manager, Australian Red Cross Lifeblood, will share how we can bridge the gap. I'm Ian Bunston. Welcome to Monday Matters. Great to have you, Mitch, here as a guest today.
No worries, thank you for having me.
It's always been well known, the organisation as Blood Bank. I still think some people refer to it, but I've already mentioned this in the introduction a few times, but we refer to it now as the Australian Red Cross Lifeblood. Can you give us clarity around this?
Yeah, so majority of people I meet that might not have much to do with us in the last few years or haven't donated in a while but come up and speak to us, they still call it the Blood Bank. And there's still a few people that call it the Blood Bank internally, even though we're trying to get everyone calling it Lifeblood. Now, the reason for that is we do more than blood. That's probably the simplest way to understand it. We're trying to shift the conversation away from just simply blood. So that's also expanding upon blood and plasma donations. We want people to be thinking a bit more about plasma donations. But more importantly as well, it's all the other things that we're doing. So we also work in, we've donated breast milk. This is for mothers that may not be able to produce their own breast milk or situations where, there's a mother that no longer has their child that can now donate that breast milk as well. So we do that since about 2018. That's something that's been happening at the hospital level throughout Australia, probably since the 1970s, 1980s onwards. But now we're partnering with state-based, New South Wales Health, for example, to roll that out more nationally. So you can currently do that from Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide. We also work in Support Donate Life as well as Stem Cell Donors Australia. So these things aren't technically blood or plasma donation, but they're part of the entire healthcare system and the area within the healthcare system that we occupy. So as part of being a donor, we can have conversations with our donors around, if someone's already interested in donating blood or plasma products, chances are they're probably going to be a bit more open to becoming an organ donor or also potentially a stem cell donor as well. So part of being a stem cell donor is needing some blood tests taken. And of course, we can do that as part of your blood donation as well. We also work through microbiome. So people might have heard of C. diff, or there's a type of different stomach conditions that are really, really hard to treat without transplanted fecal matter, which is probably the best way to describe it. Is you're taking someone else's poo, transplanting it into an unhealthy person's body. And that's the best way that we can deal and solve with those different gut-related health issues. So we're more than just blood. It's probably the simplest way to answer it, but that's giving you a bit of an insight into what else we do. We also work very heavily in research, testing, and as specialists in the field. So a bit more unique to myself, my first time seeing it, but we've had some universities requesting, they're training doctors or paramedics around having blood for research and study themselves, so they can use real blood in their practice as well. So we fill that entire space. So again, more than just blood, we'd like to be the lifeblood of Australia.
Now, Mitch, as I mentioned in the introduction, Lifeblood's mission is to bridge this gap between the 3% of Australians donating and the 33% who will actually need the blood. So what are you doing to increase this number of Aussies donating?
So specifically within my role, the main thing we're looking at is lifeblood teams. And then as a whole, as an organisation, we're trying to find more ways that people can donate more often. So as of today, we're very excited to announce we're going to allow, we're removing some of the sexual activity wait times for plasma donations. So these changes will mean that most people, including gay and bisexual men, as well as transsexual, will be able to then donate plasma without a wait time. As well, the previous rules would have made someone wait for at least 3 months before making a plasma donation. Along with this, in the same vein, we've made changes more recently around our tattoo eligibility. So now someone can get a tattoo on this very same day. They can then make another appointment to go make a plasma donation. So this used to be, several months wait, a few weeks wait as well. So there's still now gone from a 3-month wait time between a tattoo and donating blood down to just a few days. Another big one, and this might be more relevant to some people on the call, if you lived in the UK between 1980 and 1996 for a period of 6 months, regardless of if you eat beef or not, you were ruled out in what was called the mad cow deferral. So that was the VCJD, and that was due to around contaminated beef in the UK at the time. So we've been able to make that change as well. So we're hoping with all these different changes, and we've already seen with the UK rule change that there's been a huge amount and a huge influx of donors that haven't been able to donate in Australia for a very long time, but from where they lived back in the UK or when they moved over, they were regular donors. So these are some of the main changes that we're looking to make. And what we're doing is trying to increase that 57% of eligible donors and increase that percentage higher. And then in terms of what we're doing to increase that 1 in 30, closer to that 1 in 3 that will need blood products, around any donor centre you look at in Australia, anywhere between sort of 25 and 50%. 50% if my colleague's doing a great job. Those donations are coming from what we call our lifeblood teams. Now, a lifeblood team is an organisation or a workplace or can be a community group. For a great example is Yvonne, who's on the call, who does very similar within her group. And what we'll do is we'll provide those organisations or community groups with assets, resources, information to promote and effectively be advocates for lifeblood and blood donation and plasma donation within the community and more specifically their community. So we partner with bigger organisations as well. So be that CommBank, we've had mass donation days where they try and do as many donations as they can across the country with their huge footprint across the entire nation. So partnering with organisations like that are a great way. You might be working at CommBank, never thought about blood donations or anything of the sort, but now you're seeing on the internet that we're talking about blood and plasma donations and that you get some time off work to go donate. Chances are you're going to be a lot more inclined to do so, as well as you're going in there with someone that you already know. So we're removing one of those sort of, nervous, uncomfortable variables that, a lot of people may have or may face when they look at donation. We know a lot of people are a bit nervous when it comes to, having a needle in the arm. So we always recommend if you can come in with someone you know or within a workplace, you're removing one of those unknown variables as well.
Now, Mitch, in terms of encouraging people to give more and continue to give, I know that when I leave the blood centre here in Ringwood, I get a text to say, as a result of your donation today, your blood is going to X, Y, and Z. Can you expand on this a bit for us? Because I find it it's an incentive for me to go back.
Yeah, so we've donations that we know where the barcode and the product are going. Therefore, we can feed back that information. So I know a lot of people that keep donating blood until they get the Westmeads Children's Hospital, as well as other different hospitals that they want their blood to go to. So what we're able to do with this is that, and we can expand upon this a bit more in the donation process, but every single donation, every part of the process is documented, and we can follow that through. So we can follow your bag of blood from the chair from where you donated to which hospital and where it will be used as a form of a treatment as a bag of blood. So that's how we're able to provide that information. And it gives you an insight into how quickly and how much we do need these products. Is that, within a matter of a day, if no longer than 2 or 3 days, you're going to have a message around, where that blood is gone and where it will be used. And chances are, like you're saying, Ian, it will be within the 24 hours that we've already used that blood donation.
Mm. Now, Mitch, people can donate blood or plasma. Can you explain to us the difference? And also just in terms of the recovery time for the body?
Yeah, so this is probably the most important question that I can answer today. So in terms of blood or plasma, I think the biggest misconception is that they're one or the other. So the biggest thing to understand is that I think the best way to understand it is, first of all, if I explain what a blood donation is, and internally at Lifeblood, we call it a whole blood donation, and that sheds a bit more insight. So with a whole blood donation, you're coming in, we're taking your donation and your blood's going into the bag. We then collect this bag, we then send it off to hospital for use pretty much straight away. At this point, we'll go back to the processing centre. We then test, treat and do everything we need to with the blood to then be able to send it off to a hospital with it to be able to be used. Now, with a plasma donation, what the process requires is there's more or less a separation component on the spot. So the blood's coming out of the arm, going into the apheresis machine, which is what we call our plasma machines. And then we're separating off effectively the liquid component of your blood. And then you're getting fed back in the whole blood, or the blood component, which is more or less your red cells. So without getting too technical or too medical, effectively, I like to explain it, and this may be wrong in terms of the exact medical terminology, but I like to say it to people as your red and white blood cells. So what will be left over is a yellow component, which is your plasma cells, and then you'll be left over with your red blood cells. So what we're looking at with plasma or blood in terms of the recovery or the impact on your body. So with plasma, this is kind of written into our wait times around each donation type. So with plasma, you can do a donation every 2 weeks, and that gives you a bit of an insight into how quickly your body can recover. We're very, very strict on our guidelines being safe for both recipient and the donor. So we don't want to put anyone, make anyone unhealthy by donating. We're not in the business of making more patients by collecting blood and blood products for patients. Versus with a whole blood donation, you can make that donation every 3 months. Now, the thing to understand with this is a whole blood donation is taking a lot of your iron and your red blood cells. And then these are the cells that take a longer time for your body to replenish, versus being well hydrated, eating some salty foods, you'll replenish a lot of that plasma within your body much more quickly. So that's why you can do one every 2 weeks and then one every 3 months. In terms of what they're used for and what we're looking at with plasma, we're mainly looking at turning the plasma into different types of medication. So there's currently over 18 different uses for a plasma donation in terms of the medicines we can turn it into. And then with our red blood cell donations that we're taking for transfusion in hospital. Again, a lot of people think this is for people that might have had an accident or a serious bleed, but over 34% go to people that have cancer or blood diseases. And if you include anemia, over 50% of our red blood cell donations, so our whole blood donations that are going straight into the bag, are going towards cancer, blood disorders, or anemia. So again, not what people are thinking about around people having a traumatic bleed or needing a lot of blood from a surgery. There's a very small percentage there. In terms of what our plasma donations and medicines we're used for, so there's things like anti-D, we've got a lot of types of chickenpox shots, tetanus shots, as well as stopping critical burns and critical bleeds during surgery. So extensive uses. But more or less what we're looking at is the difference in the impact of the body is 2 weeks for plasma and then 3 months for blood.
Now, Mitch, I'm thinking of those people who are listening today who have never donated. Okay. I want you to describe the donation experience. Like, I mean, a lot of people were thinking probably, oh, is it going to hurt getting that injection in the arm? And it's not just that, because there's the welcoming and the people that are there at the centres. And of course, there's the tail end thing too, with all the food. Can you just quickly run us through the whole experience?
Yeah, so an important note on what you kind of touched on in terms of what people might be expecting. I speak to a lot of people where they've had a blood test before, which might have been a fasted blood test, and they've had not a great experience. I like to tell people, we want you to come back. If you go into a pathology lab, they don't need you to come back as much as we do. We rely on people coming back and being regular donors. So that alone is going to make a big difference in terms of your experience. You're not just someone coming in for a blood test. You're a life-saving blood or plasma donor. So how you're viewed to us is very, very different than if you're going in for a blood test. We also ask you the difference around the test or the donation being fasted. So we actually ask you to drink as much water as possible and have as much food and drink to eat as you possibly can without needing to run off to the bathroom mid-donation. So that will make a massive difference in how you're feeling. So a lot of your previous experiences have probably been fasted. But effectively what we're asking you to do is to sign up. So you can do this at lifeblood.com.au. You can do it on the Donate Blood app, or you can call 13 14 95 and register over the phone. We then come and make an appointment. We show up at your appointment time. For your first time, bring some photo ID. For your second time, I saw one of the members on the call has their little donor card. So you just bring your donor card along, and that has all your information attached to that card. We then ask you to fill out a questionnaire, so you can sit down, have something else to eat and drink, and fill out. It's around about 70 questions, but a lot of them are yes, no's, or maybes, and you can expand upon those questions. Once you completed that questionnaire, we then review that with a quick health checkup with one of our nurses. So we'll review any of the questions that we need more information upon. We'll then check your hemoglobin levels, which is also like your iron levels, check your blood pressure, and then just a general sort of wellness check as well. If that's all good and we can proceed, we'll then take you onto the chair for your donation. So in terms of time, you're looking at about 10 minutes in the chair for a blood donation and around between 30 or 45 minutes for a plasma donation. You can have something to eat or drink, or not eat. You can have something to drink while you're donating. And then at the end, we'll go through, we'll let you sit on a chair for a little bit, make sure you're feeling good. And then we allow you to come off the chair, and you've got the rest of the day or however long you want to kind of raid all the snacks and the food and the drink that are in the refreshments area. And while we always talk about how great of a experience that will be, it's actually a very important medical aspect of what we're doing. So again, a lot of the foods there are formulated. So we've got some salty pretzels, other sort of high sodium foods, as well as lots of different water, Gatorade, and drinks, as well as a milkshake as well. So these are some of the best foods to replenish, rehydrate, and refuel you after your life-saving donation. So we highly encourage you to make sure you're doing those things as well.
So there's plenty of food available at the end, and
Yeah.
I generally piggyback my appointment, bringing it up to about dinner time. So it works really well. Now, finally, and you've touched on so many of the key reasons why we can donate, but was there something personally that happened to you that changed your thinking around the whole area of donating blood?
I think so my personal experience is I'm a blood recipient. So I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be on this call, I wouldn't be doing this job if it wasn't for donated blood. And I think that experience is part of the reason that I'm doing this today. I know firsthand that people don't think about blood or blood products until you need them more often than not. So that's more or less how I ended up in this role. I started working there as a nursing assistant after I had a really big bleed. So I ended up losing almost 2.5 liters of blood, which was around about 50% of the blood that I had in my body. And that was just, again, from an issue of a surgery. And then I was sort of traveling on the road, caught between pretty far away from two hospitals, and then ended up losing a lot of blood before I could get to hospital. I didn't think that was going to happen. At the time, I was probably about 22, 23, thinking, I'm 6 feet tall and bulletproof, so nothing's going to happen to me. But sure enough, that's when I needed the blood. And, even though I was in rural Australia at the time, halfway between Canberra and Melbourne, as soon as I was in a hospital, I got all the blood that I needed, and it was something I never even had to think about. Fast forward, going back into work, I found a job as a nursing assistant. I did that for a little bit, and then they more or less asked me to go out and speak to teams and speak to groups. And I guess sharing that message around, and trying to share that message with organizations that if we can get this in front of people before they need blood, that's the single best thing that we can do. Because unfortunately, if everyone waited until they needed blood or blood products, we're not going to have enough people. So another important thing that we're doing is partnering with other blood and blood recipients. And that, again, that's probably the best way or best reasons to donate, is that a lot of these stories, unfortunately, may become, a bit closer to home at some time in the future. So one of the best things I've ever seen in the donor centers is written up on the wall. And I think it's the single best reason, or the reason that I will impart upon everyone, is there was a little message on the wall that a donor had written up, and it said, "I'd like to make a deposit in case I ever need to make a withdrawal." And I think that's simply the single best message that I can share. You want to be able to donate, and you want to make that donation in case you're ever the one needing that product and needing that treatment, because it's great to be a part of something that's going to be there for you when you need it.
So, Mitch Bryce, Relationship Manager, Australian Red Cross Lifeblood, thank you for being a guest here at Monday Matters Today, and thank you too for the benefits that you're providing for our community here in Australia.
No worries at all. And like I say, it's impossible without people coming in and donating. So all I can do is facilitate it. So anyone who's listening on this call, I'd highly encourage you to speak to your family, speak to your community groups, speak to your workplaces around rolling out a lifeblood team and promoting blood and plasma donation internally. It can be a sporting club, can be a community group, could be your church, could be your niece or nephew, grandson's school, whatever the case may be. There'll always be an avenue for you to encourage blood or plasma donations. As soon as you get one or two other people donating with you, you're doing more, making a bigger impact than you ever could on your own.